Hi, I'm Jason Gerber, and we're going to look at the WF-1000XM5 from Sony. So these are very, very well reviewed earphones. I'll just simply say that. I'm finally had actually a chance to listen to them when we were doing a recent article about the best reviewed earphones over the last 12 months. I was still looking at my regular everyday wireless drivers, which were the WF-1000XM4. Now, Sony has obviously had 5 iterations of these, their sort of flagship version of their true wireless system. And if you go back to the 3 was not particularly beloved. I never had a pair, so I don't know how they sounded, but the construction was a little bit weird. They sort of took a while for them to actually get everything really set into place. I don't have to tell anybody about the name Sony. It's definitive with personal audio, going back to even well before the Walkman. They have really managed, despite all kinds of turmoil, to be in the industry, to be class leading in so many ways. I really love so much about what Sony engineers do. They always seem to be at the forefront of so much, but they're also pushing always. I really think that as a company, they truly have a bunch of people that have grown up loving this stuff. They're building it out of passion, not just simply for consumer reasons. I know that sounds like I'm pushing something, but if you just look like some of their ideas are bonkers, but I kind of love that they're bonkers. But also, when they get it right, they really, really get it right. And as I said, for the last 12 months, these were the guys I was looking at. These are the WF-1000XM4, no longer available, and they were great. It came in this little black package, had wireless charging on it. The earphones themselves had this sort of memory foamy stuff on the end. This little gold thing that's sort of a microphony kind of nonsense. They would go in. They would be very putting it in the wrong ear. They were reasonably comfortable. They would stick out a little bit, but the sound was so good I'd sort of accepted the fact that you can see here it's almost a finger's width outside of the ear. Now I did a review on this. You can actually see that on the site, and I think that they are excellent and remain excellent. And if you have these, you may have a question about whether or not it's worth actually upgrading to the XM5. Now, if you've never had a pair of Sony's, these really should be among the top of your list, if not the top of your list, for this sort of mode of true wireless earphones. They really are that great. Now, again, this did so much right. I love the app. The noise cancellation was excellent. The sound was very, very good. It had little weird things. Like, for example, you could, when you're actually programming touch controls, you could do volume or changing whether noise canceling was on or off, or doing Siri or Google or whatever you want, but you could only do 2 out of 3. So that was a little weird thing. And it took a while. It actually required some firmware updates to do things like multi-point connections, so you could have more than one device included, etc. It's all on the Headphones app. This is yellow app from Sony. Very nice control, has Find My Device, did everything I wanted to do. And so I was intrigued. I'm like, how big of a jump up could the XM5 be? Well, here's the XM5. And luckily we have 2 different colors so we can actually see. They come in brown and this sort of beigey, taupey kind of color. And right off the bat, it's probably a little bit hard to see, but this is very much littler than the black. The way that it works, it is not easy to show on camera, but if you look, the black one is definitely a little bit higher and it's a little bit more girthy. The earphones themselves are definitely a different size. So if I flip open these guys, you can see what they have done is that the earphones themselves are now substantially different. Let's try to get the focus here. It's probably a little bit, there we go, a little bit of a challenge. So these guys, you can see, they look very much more ergonomic, many more curved surfaces. They've improved this foam piece. Their ear tips are the best I have in this class. Absolutely. They have a little bit of memory foam inside. Fantastic. It comes with a whole bunch of different sizes. color, so this rubber with memory foam on the outside, does a fantastic job. Same thing, a slight improvement over what it used to be. But the size of these two, if you compare these two directly, let's do it so you can actually see the contrast of the black here. These are much, much smaller. So you'd think, okay, so it's something like 20% smaller, 25% lighter, or whichever way you want to look at it. But the driver is actually bigger. It actually a couple more millimeters driver, which means the speaker inside. And the actual, it's sort of a dual layer, dual metal driver, which allows the bass frequencies and the treble frequencies. It's sort of like a concentric speaker, if you've ever seen that instead of having like a tweeter and a woofer, you kind of have a tweeter sort of embedded in the middle of the woofer with different frequencies going, which different responses. So the outer part of the driver can be the bass frequencies, and the inner side can be a treble. The end result is these simply sound fantastic. The other one sounded fantastic too. These sound better. And how do you know you sound better? Because you listen to both of them. You listen to one, the same track on one, you listen to track on the other. You're like, I thought these were amazing. I thought these were going to be the ones that were going to be last. Well, and then they came out with another one, which is probably frustrating. But nonetheless, isn't it nice that when you actually buy a new thing and it promises new stuff, it actually is better. In terms of comfort and fit, I mean, right away, it is way tighter into the ear, much smoother fit, much lighter, much lighter than here. I'll put one of these guys in. It's probably difficult to see with all my crazy hair, but you can see this guy is sort of sticking out quite a bit. This one is very much sort of smooth against my head. The actual design itself, they're a little bit slippery, so if you're holding it, you got to be careful. To pull it out of the case, in fact, is a little bit of craziness. The magnet's actually really good. You see, it's not going, with a lid, they're not going anywhere unless you actually pull them out, which is great. But I find if you sort of put your finger in the little holy thing and then sort of push down, they'll actually pop up nicely. This section here, the actual touch section, these sort of the front-facing portion here is a little bit more rubbery, and again, there's a gold sort of microphone section there that actually does the trick. But the rest of it is very, very smooth, shiny plastic, as opposed to a little bit more similar. The case itself, as I was saying, similar to the case. Case itself is not so slippery, which is great. It's a little bit of texture, so it's not going to fall out of your hands. I've actually had some cases. Some from companies that used to only build them in pure white. They're so slippery they just fall out of your hand. Not ideal. The earphones themselves have some amazing features and technology, as one can expect. It is, as it says, is made for iPhone, iPod. Also works with Android. It has Alexa if you want. It does OK Google. They do have, here, it has Sony's proprietary 360 audio. You can actually take a photo of the shape of your ear, and it'll go to a server, and it'll customize sound mapping for you. You can use your phone and actually have it so that as your head works, it does head tracking for 360 audio. I didn't really get that to work very well on my Android phone. I did all the testing and it just wasn't behaving the way I wanted to. It's okay, it's not really the way I'm going to listen to surround sound. But nonetheless, the fact that I can go into my settings, definitely turn on LDAC. That is the sort of higher resolution anyway, close to lossless audio from Sony, much higher bit rate of Bluetooth transmission. And you can actually set it to audio prioritization all in the app. Once it's done, it's a set it and forget it. You put these in, they work. The battery life is fantastic. The comfort is great. They're significantly lighter, and they just sound amazing out of the box. Yes, you can tweak sound. I found that I was dialing down the bass just a tiny bit because I just found it a little bit overwhelming for some of the stuff I was listening to, and I got a very, very pleasing, engaging musical sound when I'm listening to anything from classical music to soundtracks to jazz to folk to classic R&B to classic hip-hop. Whatever I threw at these, they really did the job. I think for me, for the kind of listening that I do, these truly are everything that I want them to be. They are wind resistance when you're actually talking on the phone is excellent. Noise cancellation is fantastic on all frequencies. It doesn't sort of just bottom out. It never makes it feel like there's a sucking feeling. I barely, and only when I'm listening to test frequencies, hear any difference between noise canceling on or off. Fantastic. There's some earphones that you put on a noise cancellation, and suddenly the treble goes crazy, and all of this other stuff. It's like suddenly it's like you've applied EQ as much as you applied noise canceling, and especially with over the ears, when there's so much of that anti-noise going, I get this weird sort of vacuum sucking feeling that I know a lot of people do. So these are absolutely earphones for you to check out. Again, if you actually look at the box, they do these sort of recycled papery thing. Really nice, be able to actually get rid of it. It's funny because obviously this is not so recyclable. But inside, underneath this, you got, what do you need? You got a USB cable, and you got a series of ear tips, and you can see that they're colored for you to do it. From super small to large, and obviously medium on there. Medium worked totally fine for me. The comfort is great. There's testing for the comfort. The earphones just do the job. There's a tiny little button on the back if you need to reset the thing. I actually love that. Sometimes there's like this weird key combination to do that. They quickly pair with my Android phone. You kind of put the case near it, and it pops up with a Google Quick Connect. What else can I say other than these are class leading? Absolutely should be top of your list of looking at when you're looking for earphones within this price range. Compared to the competition, they just for me do everything that I want them to do, and I definitely think they should be absolutely on your list for you to consider when you want to take your listening up to the next level and get something that is still, let's put it mildly, consumer friendly. You can go crazy and esoteric and get all kinds of nut stuff, but in terms of wireless headphones, these really do the trick from a massive company that allows these. If these were from an esoteric company, I will say this, if these were from some little tiny company somewhere in the world, these would cost 4 or 5 times as much. But because of economies of scale, because of all the things, you can actually get these things at a much. So you are getting technology trickled down from this massive company to, these are not the cheapest things in the world, but these are certainly very, very commensurate with price to performance. Absolutely nails it. And so for me, the XM5s are amazing. Now, are they going to announce an XM6 and I'm going to fall in love with them? Hopefully. But for right now, as I'm looking at these, I've had these for a couple weeks now, and I've listened to them almost every day. These are the ones to go for. I've listened to them on planes. I've listened to them in subways. I've listened to them in quiet. I've done deeper listening with higher resolution files. I've done podcast listening. Anything I've thrown at it, it has absolutely done the trick. Kudos to the engineers at Sony, and I'm really excited to actually have another year of these. It is nice to have these to go back and forth to. If I run out of battery time after this, I can still go to these, but nonetheless, these are absolutely my go-to, my daily drivers, and I think that they might be for you as well. Thanks so much for watching. Again, I'm Jason Gorbert. We will see you next video. Please let us know in the comments what you think of these particular earphones. I'd be really interested to hear, and I'll do my best to respond. Take care, and I'll see you next video. All the best.